Well, Lauren, I dig this car. This is another one, sort of the theme here, historic hot rods.
Historic.
This is another historic one. And I tell you, I see this and I go, that's a nice 32, and not a 32.
No, it's a Model A body on a rebuilt chassis, a Delgari chassis, but it's got 32 fenders, and it's got Model A rear fenders, but it's sort of a cross. It's a cross. Most people think it's a 32 because of the grille and the fenders.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
But this is another one built back in the late 50s?
Yes, yeah. This car was started in 1958 by Jack Williams.
Did Jack Williams build every hot rod in BC, basically?
Basically, in the 50s and 60s, he had his hand on everybody's car.
It sounds like it. I hear his name over and over and over.
That's right. He's the guy. He was the guy. And he started his car in 58 for my friend and neighbor, Dave Shorter, who is the original owner of the car. And he was working on it, and then he turned it over to Jack, who really kind of built the car. And Dave was a machinist. And it's got a small Dodge 270 Red Ram, 55 Red Ram.
The baby HEMI.
The baby HEMI. And so there's no real speed equipment for it. So Dave had a pattern made, and he was a machinist, so he machined the manifold, and he machined the V-drive gears and stuff like that, the belt drive. And Jack sort of, I guess, put the car together mostly, and but Dave did a lot of work on it too. And when the car was finished in 1961, it won Rod's sweepstakes at the BC Motorama and BCCCA Motorama, and then it was featured in November '61 Hot Rod magazine.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a really cool car. And then he was getting married and said, I'm going to sell it. So of course I bought it.
in when?
In late 62, 63. Then I drove the car and raced it down at Arlington, Washington. I ran over 100. I got 104. I won the coveted 100-mile-an-hour crests. But I usually ran in the low 14s, high 13s. And so I did that. And then in 65, it was originally painted a brown. And in 65, I tore it down, and Ed Lowen, who is still racing his 32, he repainted the car and everything, and I put it back together and changed a few things. Then I sold it in 74. The fellow who bought it in 74 took the engine out and put a Chev in it, and then the car disappeared.
Oh.
When I was retiring, I was looking at getting another car, and Jack Williams knew where it was, and so did Ed Lowen, and they were both telling me where it was. It was in a garage and trailer out in Port Kells here. So I went and got it, and there was motor transmission and everything was all missing.
Oh, so it wasn't like this?
No, it's just in pieces.
Oh, man.
And the chassis was chopped up, but all of the body and fender, everything was there, and the Mercedes gauges, which are really rare, 61 SL Mercedes gauges were there. Yeah, so I got all this stuff back, and then I had the chassis built, and I did find the original engine, but the fellow was reluctant to sell it, and hummed and hawed, and I had picked up this really good 270, and Jack, he really wanted to do it again anyways, because the car meant a lot to him back in those days, so we put it back together, and he had the old drawings for the V-drive, and we cast another manifold.
So really? I mean, you cast the manifold and everything, and so this isn't the exact engine, but it's the same.
The same. It's the same blower drive, and he had the original drawings for the V-belt drive. And we went back for the V-belt drive because that was original rather than going to a Gilmore. So we did that, and then the front water pump is a Chev, because on these Dodges they have like a big crab water pump mount system. So we took that, and actually the timing cover that's on his dragster, he made those. So what we did was he took the original timing cover, he did, and then put wings on it. So the timing cover and the motor mounts are all part of the front. That's how that's mounted on the front, because there's no way of mounting these other than that, unless you make something up.
I mean, that's really creative.
Yes,
I mean, that's
beautiful.
some serious engineering.
Oh, it is.
And it's artistic too.
This bypass is all Jack. That motor mount, you can't see much of it because the timing cover is the same one that's on his dragster, but just put feet on it.
Wow! And is it running a single four?
It's running a single four. I had two small fours on it, two 390s, the smallest you could get, because it
just space, right?
So it would look good in that, but it ran too rich at an idle. It ran good going, but it was always an idle. So I just put a 654 on it, and it runs beautifully.
And what's the blower?
671 GMC. Yeah.
I mean, and you said you're doing over 100 in this. That's got to be kind of thrilling.
It was, but I was only like 22,
So you didn't know any better,
you know.
right? Oh, man.
Now I'd think twice.
Exactly. Well, it just, I mean, my goodness, again, Jack must have been quite a guy.
He was amazing. He was amazing.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
And he builds some incredible cars. How about the interior? Is that the same as?
No, the old interior the seat was quite high and you sat up above the.
Oh, uh-huh.
So this is a new seat I bought.
And these are the Mercedes.
There's a Mercedes 190 SL.
Those are worth a fortune.
I know they are. Well, when I found them, the gauges themselves were really in good shape, but the bevels were all rusted and everything. And so I was going to get them redone in California, and they were about $1,000 to redo them. And then the fellow in Victoria who does all of I think he's retired now, but he used to do all of the really high-end Mercedes and international cars.
Yeah.
He did all that work for me and stuff. And when I was looking, before I thought, well, I'll spend $1,000 on them, but maybe I'll see what they're worth. And I talked to the Mercedes, and they wanted $2,000 each for the big ones and $1,000 each for the small. And I said, oh, you don't have them, you have to make them. And he said, yes, we have to make them, so they're really expensive. Unless you really, the only people buying them are people restoring.
Are they VDOs or?
Yes.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah.
And do they run? See, does the tach run backwards or?
No, it
goes to.
It goes to the
clockwise?
right.
Okay,
They're all mechanical.
Oh,
The speedometer and the tach are mechanical.
They're just. Oh, they make that.
It does, yeah. So those are the things So I had all that, cut that, and then the body and everything else is the same.
And then how about the fenders? Were they sculpted at all? Are they pretty?
These ones, these are Model A fenders. These are being shortened up. Jack did that when he originally built the car. And the pan he made for the back because it's a straight back.
I mean, this baby is just priceless.
Yeah, it is.
And for you to have the history you have with it and be able to find it even in pieces,
Yes,
and then bring it back to life is just.
It's a really nice driver. It's got 4-wheel disc brakes, and
oh man,
I've driven it to California 3 times.
You're my hero.
My wife even goes.
Well, you got a top on it.
Yeah, I got side curtains too, and that makes a big difference.
It sure does. Oh, Lauren, this is just magnificent.
Yeah.
Did it have a name back in the day?
Well, when it was originally built, it was called the Little Brown Jug.
Okay.
And I don't know if in the Hot Rod magazine it says that or not, but that's what it was brown then. But I've never really called it anything.
It's Lauren's car.
Yes.
Man, this is awesome.
Thanks, Dennis.
Model A that looks like a 32.